The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello everyone, I'm State Senator Michael Rodrigues and welcome to another edition of Voices from the Hill. It's so good to be here today with my great friends and colleagues, Representative Carol Fiola and Representative Alan Sylvia. Representative Paul Schmidt could not make it today. Farming responsibilities, you know, make hay while the sun shines.
Actually, he's chair, of course, of agriculture.
Yes.
And there's some serious things going on with all the rain, the flooding in western Massachusetts.
And we can talk about that.
A lot of farms.
This climate, climate is changing for sure, but it's, this is, we're recording this the end of July. It is hot and muggy outside. I hope everyone's enjoying this summer weather here in the South Coast. Lots going on. The city of Fall River is alive.
Wow.
Down at the waterfront, something we've been envisioning for a long time, and it's coming to be.
It's an incredible time. Well, great to be with you. I think it's been a few months since we were able to gather here in the studio, although we've been passing each other in the State House chambers and doing a lot of work, getting ready for this little pause for a couple of weeks of session, and so we can all kind of catch our breath and get ready for the fall, a very busy fall. It's hot, but it's the weather I like. I don't know about you. Are you summer people? Not you?
It gets hot in the summer and it gets cold in the winter. And that's what we have to deal with. So it's good.
I like it. I like the summer weather.
I don't like when it gets 100 and plus, but I worry, though, about people out there who are not hydrated, who need to ensure that they're drinking enough water. Of course, look in on the elderly. They sometimes need some assistance, especially when it's very warm. Sometimes we take for granted the fact that many of us have air conditioning, but there are a lot of people in the community who don't have air conditioning, and that can be a problem. So please check in on our elderly and make sure that you remain hydrated, because we want people to be safe.
That's the number one cause of weather-related death is heat, and we are in that. And you mentioned climate change. It's showing its head. I mean, think about other parts of the country. I think there were like 45 days of 110 degrees, over 100 degrees in parts of the country. So, let's enjoy some warmth, but take care if it is too hot, right? So, here we are.
But the city is alive with activities. It's so nice down at the Tom Norton City Pier, at the gates of the city.
You can really see it unfolding to what it will be. But, still, and maybe you can explain this, because you know the area better. You've been at more of those gatherings, and obviously it's in your district where all those changes are being made. But a lot of people will say, well, what is that going to look like later? We hear that there's going to be 10 acres, 19 acres. So obviously that's perfect for development.
Yep. So it is alive. Yes, we'll talk. I think another show maybe we could just talk about Route 79. Yeah. But obviously everybody sees the rapid deconstruction of the overpasses, and that has been planned. This has been in the works with all of us and the city for many years, but the city pier is complete. It's beautiful. There are activities at least 3 or 4 nights a week down there, thanks to the mayor, the Narrows, Viva Fall River, FRAC, all these groups, some of the banks. I know Bristol County Savings is sponsoring some events. I happen to have an opportunity. I love to walk, so sometimes I walk the waterfront, and the people that are down there, families, individuals, but I did the yoga on Monday night. So right through the end of August is yoga at 6:30 on Monday nights. When I tell you 100 people,
wow,
100 people it tells you the thirst for things to do and the response that people are having to these activities. 100 people, and what's nice is the mayor came up and with Narrows, so they've hired for 2 weeks in a row. There's like 5 or 4 studios, yoga studios, professional studios that are leading these yoga lessons. You can have 0 experience, or you can be more. You just need to bring a mat and of course some water, and there is nothing more majestic than looking at the battleship, the bridge, the pending sunset.
Well, I have to tell you, last week I was coming back from Boston, and it was kite night.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as I was approaching, as I came off 79, I could see some kites. But I never imagined how many people would be flying kites. There had to be 100 people flying kites.
They gave out 250 kites.
Unbelievable.
250 kites. And so that's a different night.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It was
that's
very
the
nice, though.
Thursday nights, picnics in the park.
Yeah.
So this week, what's today? Last night, I couldn't be there. I was in Boston late, but they had the Fall River City of Fall River Pride Night.
Yep.
So they gave swag and crafts and activities. And in 2 weeks, it'll be a luau theme.
Oh, how cool is that?
You know, food, giveaways, activities. And 2 weeks after that is big game night. So big games, they're gonna have think of those big Connect 4 games, the big cornhole, and they're gonna have all kind of games for people to play, and it always involves some food trucks.
And who
giveaways.
organizes all that?
So that's
Viva
really
Fall
interesting.
River is-
Viva Fall River, but Redevelopment Authority, Viva Fall River, the city, the Narrows, it's collaboration. And this is,
Working together.
we talk about that, right, Senator?
yeah,
You always talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
you're in the Senate, we're in the House. We don't always agree, but that's okay. We do what's best for the community.
Yep.
And this is what's happening. These are people giving their time working for you to make sure you enjoy these beautiful events.
We were talking, before we went on the air, we were talking about our parks.
Never looked better.
Never have they ever looked better than they do now. And areas that we complained about, I remember complaining about certain areas like Rhode Island Avenue, the island not being maintained, manicured, the lawn cut. All of these areas, there's been a vast improvement. Of course, I was talking about our Cook Pond area up in the south end. And
You guys have done so much work
it's
to improve that.
unbelievable when you can now see the pond itself. You see, those homes are being built, and there's 2 they're working on that will be sold immediately, I'm sure. But now the apartments are being built, and you can see the new windows going in. And every day, of course, I look at that, and
We've been talking about that for years.
Yes.
And people have been saying, what's that? What pond?
Think about
What
this,
pond?
though.
Cook
Think
Pond.
about
What's
this.
Cook Pond?
This-
You should never see it. Now look at it.
10
It's
years
beautiful.
ago, 10 years ago, when we started this, we were concerned, we were telling people at our neighborhood meeting, have a bag ready to go at your door, because if these mills that are vacant catch fire, you were going to have to evacuate, and not evacuate a block, evacuate blocks. We had the Cuss, Bavaris School and Cuss for evacuation location. We had all these contingency plans because we know if a mill was to be fully engulfed in flame, we would lose a sizable part of. Now
The
look,
chemical probably that
Yeah.
would have emitted.
but look now, we have housing there. We have a multiple 150 units going to be there, all on the pond. It's going to be beautiful, really changing the city of Fall River. And of course, Duro, that up the south end has been sold, and it's going to be housing as well. So
We just today, obviously you're all watching this after we've recorded it. It's the very end of July right now, but the article in today's paper talking about the high demand and that we're still, we always will have issues with raising rents, and we're working on those things. But the demand for housing throughout the state, of all type of housing, and the housing that's being built in Fall River, and it's being immediately rented. It tells you there's a need. With South Coast Rail, the transformation of our waterfront, the transformation of the South End, Fall River has never looked better, never felt better. And so I say thank you to our mayor, our community, I'll give us a little credit because we've always been behind the
An
scenes.
important role in that. And it's good to see that happening, because for so long we heard the negative, and it's so wonderful to have people come to you, and they come to me and say, Alan, this looks great. Look at the park. Look at this. Look at that. It's very positive. So that's a wonderful thing. You know, just yesterday we had an opportunity to speak and meet with Ed Augustus, who's the new Secretary of Housing, the governor's pick for working on housing, because housing is a crisis in our community, but it's a crisis, as Rep. Viola mentioned, everywhere in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We just feel it in different ways, depending on where you reside and what the income levels are. You know, affordability in Newton and Framingham is different than affordability in Fall River. So I know Rep. Viola set up a meeting with Secretary in September. We're looking forward to that. I reminded him of that meeting yesterday when I had the opportunity to talk to him briefly. But you know, you can see how important the housing crisis issue is when I saw the number of people in that meeting yesterday. Because
reps who showed up and senators.
We had quite a few senators there. You know, you wouldn't expect that many, but there were nearly 100 people in that room.
400,000, they say, and you might have a different number. Or about we're behind about 400,000 units of housing in the Commonwealth. There had been a stall, and so we're doing so many good things. We've all supported HDIP. We all support programs to help people in need. We've all added to RAFT. So we're doing a lot of things to stimulate that. And in a measured way, right? And it's good stuff. I mean,
and I know, you know, all of our offices, because we feel sometimes inundated with people who are coming in who are elderly, who are being evicted, who can't afford their rent. And my heart goes out to those folks. And we see them more often in the South End because we're on South Main Street, so they're coming in. But I know all of our offices have worked with the Fall River Housing Authority, with Catholic Social Services, with the United Way, with RAFT, to get people placement. And we've been successful in so many ways.
They have an office now, just because you're speaking, you mentioned the word RAFT, but they've changed the name of this housing group several times. It used to be South Shore Housing Solutions. Now it's Neighbor Works. And I understand, I have not been there yet, but in downtown, I only know this Cherry and Webb building, they've just rented some space for people to pop in.
Oh, good.
And so we'll share more of that when we learn more.
Good.
I just heard that they rented the space, a small space, while they do a lot over the phone and they do a lot, you know, intake online. It will be a resource, another resource for our community to access.
Yep.
So let's just talk really quick because we're at the end of the month, and we have with us right here the lead in the Senate, the lead negotiator for the budget. We have our lead negotiator back in Boston, Aaron Michaelwitz, but you look relaxed after. They keep poker face. Look at his poker face because we're hoping that we'll hear some good news soon.
We are about a month late.
That?
Sure. So our fiscal year started on July 1. Today is July 28th, right? Is today the 28th? Yeah. So we're about a month late on getting the fiscal year budget done.
Not unusual.
It's not unusual. And a lot of it has to, there's a lot of reasons, not the least of which is just timing. It's complicated. It's big. It's $56 billion. The House has a set of priorities. The Senate has a set of priorities. And it's my job, along with Aaron Michaelwitz, to blend those priorities and to pass a budget with a finite amount of money. Unlike the federal government, that if they need more money, they just print it, right? You know, we'll just create more money. We don't do that. You know, we continue to have a balanced budget, not just a balanced budget, a budget that is also building our reserves to ensure that the next time, we know economies are cyclical. We're going to face a recession. Looks like we've dodged one with this post-pandemic recovery. We were really worried with inflation, with the war in Ukraine, with, you know, the fact that, you know, this global supply chain issue. We were really worried about the economy. I've got to give 2 thumbs up and kudos to President Biden and the leadership he's shown. The United States is the only one of the G7. It has the lowest rate of inflation of any of the G7 countries. Wow. We have the highest rate of employment in history. We just
haven't
passed.
heard that
Nobody
anywhere.
wants to talk about that. It seems.
We have the highest rate. We've never had more jobs in this country than right now. For the first time in 46 years, we've had 14 straight days of growth on the stock market, and the lowest rate of inflation of any G7 country in the world. The economy is doing good. There are certainly, you can always do better. There are certainly those segments of the economy that are doing better than other segments of the economy, but all in all, it's going well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that within the next 24 to 36 hours, we'll be announcing that the House and Senate have reached agreement on a conference committee budget, and that we'll be able to vote on the budget early next week. But
What a process.
Chairman Michaelowicz is a great guy. It's hard to believe this is our 5th budget we've worked on together. So it's 5 budgets that he's led on behalf of the House and I've led on behalf of the Senate, and we work together. So we know each other pretty well. Yep. You can't play poker face to Aaron, to Chairman Michaelowicz. I'm sorry. He knows, I know his nuances. He knows my nuances. He has a boss. I have a boss. He's got members.
Bosses are sticking points.
Yeah, he has members whose back he's looking out for. I have members whose backs I'm looking out for, but it works. But all in all, not only is it going to be a good budget, it's going to deliver a lot of necessary resources for our constituents here.
I can't wait to be able to talk about some of those good things that people will benefit from.
I'm not going to jinx and talk about it, but there's a lot of great things.
Let's wait till
next show we can talk about.
Let's wait till
all
we
the
push
great
the button.
things. Right. And not only is it about spending, let me say, so we just announced 2 months ago that we had a bond rating increase, one of only a handful of states that have seen their bond rating improve. Who cares about that except for us budget nerds? Who cares about that except for the big shots on Wall Street? It's important because we get a more favorable bond rating when we borrow money, and we do all the time.
Interest rates are lower.
Right, you hear about transportation bond bills to build roads and bridges and all the work's done on 79. That's done with borrowed money. You talk about education bond bills where we build new facilities at places like here at Bristol Community College.
Hundreds of millions of dollars each
Right.
project.
We just did it yesterday. Actually, our roads and we voted on that yesterday.
Yeah, we just did Chapter 90.
Roads and bridges.
So every little point that we can save on debt service by having a better bond rating means we save tens of millions of dollars that we can invest elsewhere, or we can put into our rainy day account. When I was appointed chair of Ways and Means in February of 2019, we had $1.9 billion in our stabilization rainy day. $1.9 billion. We have $7.6 billion today. That's in our savings account. That's money that's there to protect us against an economic downturn. Wall Street recognizes that work that we've all done together, passing good, responsible, balanced budgets. And this will be one too. Everything we do, right? We have a great job. Every decision we make can and will get second guessed.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's got a better idea. Everyone, that's just the way it is.
That's the job.
And we all have thick skins. We all, and I can say this with confidence, all of us, even Rep. Schmidt, who's not here, all of us work every single day on behalf of the people that we represent and our constituents and our communities.
That's so true. I mean, I have to say, these things that we share with you on the budget or kind of these behind the scenes at the State House stories are real, and it's what we do. But what you see with us every day is, or what you probably care most about is, did we respond to your call? Did we follow up? Did we get you an answer, whether it was a very successful answer or not? And so that's what we take the most pride in, because what happens in our district, we always want to be responsive to you because we have a privileged opportunity to connect you to the right services. And while I'm at it, I just want to acknowledge, I know this is going to come from your hearts as well, as the passing of our good dear friend Wanda Roble at 100 years old. Yeah. She passed a day and a half ago, and she was somebody, if you don't remember, you heard a lot about Michael's Fund.
Yeah.
And I'll let
That
the
was
senator,
before you were even a state representative.
I'll let the senator
Right.
talk a little bit about his great work then. And I kind of got involved, and I wasn't even a representative because I got pulled into the passion and the purpose of the people from Michael's Fund. Michael Roble, 10 years old, died. He could not get a match for bone marrow. And that was, I'm going to say that was 20 some years ago, 25, 27 years ago. And his family took that pain, as many families do when they deal with a horrific situation, and turned it into a passion and a purpose of ensuring that no one would not have an opportunity to have a bone marrow transplant. And so this senator here was instrumental in helping a bill to pass. And maybe you want to talk about that as we give our condolences.
That's still to this day one of my most proudest accomplishments, that we passed the Michael's Fund bill. And so you're the one,
a citizen.
representative, you're a citizen. You came to me and introduced me to the Roble family, and they were out raising money for the Michael's Fund to do bone marrow drives. And I'm like, why are you raising money? It's because the insurance companies would not cover the cost of a bone marrow test. So I filed a piece of legislation. It's called a mandated benefit that would require insurance companies to cover that test.
Which is not easy. As my role now as a rep.
It was a
not
battle.
easy.
Insurance companies don't want to pay for anything. You know that, right? And it was a battle. And they would come to me and say, at the time, Representative, why are we paying for a test if you want to have a bone? At that time, it was $100 a test, right? It's much less now because it was a blood test at that time. If you want to be tested for a potential match, why should I cover that? Because you don't have leukemia. You're not the patient. What you're doing is trying to help a patient. We did it. We became the second state. Rhode Island beat us only by a couple weeks.
Doesn't that make so much sense, though?
But
I
we
don't understand why they thought the way they did.
And we just celebrated, not too long ago, the Michael's Fund celebrated 100th successful bone marrow match because of the imagine that. 100 lives were saved because of the work of the Roble family. And channeling their grief for young Michael. I still have his photo in my office. If you come into my office, I have Michael's photo. But channeling that grief into a cause so that his memory lives on forever by saving folks' life. So, Wanda, God bless you. Oh, she was my grandma. She turned right.
Bobchi. She was a Bobchi.
Oh, yes.
She was a Bobchi. And anyway, I wanted to share that with all of you because she was special.
Talk about unsung heroes in our community. And our community is full of them, but that family, Bobchi, and the entire family,
And I learned yesterday she was just interesting because some of you listening may have been or have family members that were in 42 to 44 or 42 to 44, 1942, she was in the Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Yeah.
So there was 10,000 women nationwide. She was in it, and so they contacted me because, again, another great partner of ours, Congressman Auchincloss. I can't say enough about the delivery.
He worked so hard.
Their staff is second to none, and so the Roble family will be able to present an honor at her funeral for her, and that just happened in 24 hours.
Wonderful.
24 hour,
wonderful.
because our Congressman's office is so great.
So you brought up Auchincloss, very important, because he's doing an incredible job. Every time I know we reach out to him, I know all our offices reach out to him for issues, whether it's for passports or other federally related issues, and very responsive. More responsive than I have ever felt before from a congressman. So, you can reach him, personally reach him, which I love, to be able to talk. Other times I don't have to reach him. I can just reach out to his staff, but totally
I joke with him. He's officially become part of my Rooster Club. What's a Rooster Club? I'm up very early. Those of you who know me, I'm up early. I'm working early, right? I call him at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I text him, and he responds immediately. I'm like, well, he's got young
third baby. He just had his third baby.
He's got young,
3 under 4.
Yeah, so he's got a handful there with babies, but he's amazing. Representative Suri brought some passports. Yeah.
That's a big one.
Every week, a half a dozen people contact my office. Senator, I'm going to Aruba. I'm going to Portugal. I'm going on a trip. My passport. I just discovered my passport is expired.
And I'm leaving Saturday.
And I'm leaving Saturday.
I think we have 100% success
Oh
rate.
my God.
We have and thanks to Congressman Klaus, and
very
his
good.
office is amazing.
Very, very good.
But do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Go and wherever your passport is, in your drawer, in your safety, look at it. 6 months before it's due to expire, please apply for a new one because it takes forever
It's
to
a
get
long
it done.
process to get a passport.
And it's nothing more stressful where you have a trip that you've paid for
and you can't go.
and you can't go, or you potentially can't go.
Yeah,
We've been pretty
thankfully,
lucky,
we've
though.
been fortunate, but I hate to say that because they don't want people just to say, "Oh, I'll just call my rep and I'll get a passport." The work involved to get that passport is unbelievable. So, but it happens, as you say, once a week, and
I had a colleague of mine yesterday comes up to me. He says, "Mike, you know all of our office. I just checked mine. Mine expires on the
But
Tuesday."
how can you be saying, "Oh, I got a problem, Alan"? What's the problem? We're leaving on Saturday, and my daughter. We're leaving Saturday, like 3 days. And my daughter's passport's expired. And you got to be kidding me.
And we get it done.
Yeah, thankfully we can do that.
But it does mean a trip to Boston.
If it's that tight,
You've got to go to Boston. You have to deal with that traffic, deal with the pot. It's not easy,
not an easy
to get to the federal, in and out,
Please
to
keep
and
an
from
eye
the
on
federal.
So do
business.
what the senator said.
Go check your
Your
passports.
passport.
I want to talk real quickly, if I could, because it's brought up early. Our climate is changing. I know there's a lot of climate change deniers out there, but look at what's happening around the world. The fires in Greece, the fires in Italy. How many straight days over 110 degrees in Arizona, all over. And the flooding that's happening here. I was out in Western Mass. My responsibility as chair of Ways and Means takes me around the state. The Connecticut River Valley, right? Amherst, Northampton, that whole area is the breadbasket of Massachusetts. They got 9 inches of rain in 24 hours. Imagine that, 9 inches of rain totally overflowed the banks. I was with farmers who are the hot, we know how hard farmers work 24/7. His entire potato crop, over $1.5 million, gone, rot in the ground. His fall harvest crops, the squash, the pumpkins, were flooded with sewage because in Vermont, where the Connecticut River starts, the sewage treatment plants overflowed, flooded, ruined, throw it all away. What do you do? What do you do? They can't take on more debt. Our farmers are leveraged up to their necks, so we're going to help them.
Actually, that's where Rep. Schmidt is right now. We're working with, of course, I'm happy to sit on that committee, and he's very involved right now. Today, there's a couple of bills coming out.
Yeah, he's a farmer. We need to wrap it up. We're getting the signal. Thank you all.
Reach out to us, right?
Absolutely. Reach out to us. Enjoy the summer. Enjoy this weather. Enjoy this great city of ours.
Stay hydrated.
Look out for your neighbors. Thank you so much.
Watch out for your neighbors. Thank you all. Thank you.
Take care.